KnifeDope. More dope. Come and get your fix. What's up, fuckers? Your boy's back with a fresh batch of dope. KnifeDope. That's right, people. The hits don't stop. This is my last video for my 2023 wrap-up. And by far, this is my the one that I'm looking forward to the most. Because this is the video on the top 10 knives of 2023. Premium rendition, that is. So for me, premium was going to be anything above $260 to infinity. Now, that is a pretty big range, but I got some good ones, people. I really, really did. Now, just to recap the criteria, in case you haven't seen the earlier videos, the knife has had to have been released in 2023, and more importantly, I have to physically have the knife in my possession. So because of that criteria, you will not be finding this one on there, and this is the Spyderco Drunken. Now, granted, I just got this knife a few months ago. It was not released this year. However, if it would have been, I can guarantee you it would have been on my list. This Demetrius Sinkovich design has been a long, long grail of mine. As a matter of fact, when I first fell in love with the Spyderco brand, this one and the Python were must-haves for me. And I just managed to finally track them down this year. So granted they're in the collection, they will not be on this list. And so without much further ado, let's get to the dope. Okay. Coming in at number 10 is the only Giant Mouse Ace knife in my collection. This is the Ace Nasca. Now, before I get any feedback or pushback, this version of the Nasca was released this year. This is the carbon fiber version. However, it's got the Magna Cum Laude, otherwise known as Magna Cut for our blade steel. Beautiful machine belt satin finish here on our blade. Don't necessarily know what type of blade shape we're going to call it, but I'm just going to call it gorgeous. Love these contoured scales. This is also the only crossbar lock knife that you're going to find on this list. It's very similar to what Kaiser did with their clutch lock. This actually has two settings for you to adjust your spring tension. Great little detent sensation. We've got full-length liners there, brass backspacer, wire pocket clip. Absolutely love this knife. Therefore, it's at number 10 on the end of your list. Next up, this one could quite possibly be the most fidgety knife of 2023 as well, but it's here on this list. This is the Riot XOM. Now, I had never even tried gravity knives or even considered trying them until Riot decided to go ahead and start throwing locks on them. The first one I bought was the regular XOM, and then here at Blade Show in June, I picked up this one. This is the Mini. So we've got the same features, just in a smaller package. 3V steel, sway back blade shape. This one has got the black micarta inlays on both sides of the handle. The knife is deployed via, you guessed it, gravity. Deep carry pocket clip is right hand tip up. And we've got this slide lock, which is great. And there's definitely no spine issues, no spine lockup failure to worry about, as this lock does not engage anywhere in the tang of the blade. Fantastic knife. This one came in, I think, at $270, and it is at number 9 on the list. Number 8, we got this one. This is the Null Voodoo. Now, the only reason I think that this isn't higher on my list is just because I think the other knives in front of it are better. But for a long time this year, ever since I acquired this, this was a serious contender for Knife of the Year, as a matter of fact. But here I have it at the number 8 position. This one comes in, I think, at $350. I think this was the cheapest version you could get of the Voodoo. We've got M390 steel. Nice hollow grind, very thin behind the edge. This has got the black micarta inlays, black PVD coated bolsters, as well as pocket clip and backspacer. Love the attention to detail they have on this knife. They gave us that nicely milled in V, letter V on the backspacer. The actual pocket clip resembles a pocket knife. And then let's talk about these gorgeous and very enjoyable thumb studs. I don't know what the material is on it, but it's not, I don't think it's any type of metal. It's got a very soft feel to it, but they are placed in the most strategic position to allow you full leverage when deploying the knife. There's even a nice little place for you to rest that finger to choke up and accommodate that full purchase. We've got this harpoon-esque blade here with a little bit of reverse Tonto vibes. They call this a static wash finish. It's kind of like a stone wash with something else, I forget, but it's absolutely gorgeous. Plenty of room to disengage this. Action's official like a ref with a whistle. Number 8 on my list was the Voodoo from Null Knives. Number 7. You know we were going to have a quiet carry on here, didn't you? This is the Quiet Carry Drift Large. This one comes in at $300, and this one is on loan to me from the young pup, Mr. Westside. Appreciate you, brother. But I digress. This is just a larger version to the wildly popular Drift. We've got a beautiful drop point blade in Van X Super Clean, full flat grind on the blade. Love Quiet Carry's stonewash finish. More importantly, let's talk about that fucking knurling pattern. Absolutely second to none. No one's doing a better knurling milling pattern than Quiet Carry. So whoever it is who's doing their OEM work, they know what they're doing. Quarter link backspacer with integrated lanyard post for the weirdos. Reversible wire pocket clip, right or left hand. Actually, I lied to you. Right hand only. This is also the only knife riding on washers that is on this list. Even though it's on washers, it is buttery smooth and great drop action for all you straight drop freaks out there. Very, very thin blade profile, super slicey as a fuck. They've even went ahead and give us this beautiful crown spine. This is a wonderful knife coming in at number 7, the Quiet Carry Drift Large. Number 6, gotta have some American vibes. You know how the fuck we do. And we're gonna go with this one. American Blade Works Model 2. This one also came out this year. This is the one in Magna Cut. We've got titanium handles with a nested liner lock. I had sent mine out to Brian at Transparent Knives, who did a courtesy black wash finish for me on my titanium handles. And so I am so thankful for his kindness. But nonetheless, the knife is deployed via your flipper tab. Now, when I first got this knife, it had to be dialed in a little bit. The detent was super light. And then I did at one point have a little bit of some pivot lash, but I ended up getting all that situated. We've got this beautiful Warncliffe blade here, like I mentioned, in Magna Cut. I think he's running his Magna Cut at 64 HRC. Basically a one-man show, giving us pure American dope. Every bit of this knife is sourced from materials here in the United States, including the pouch that it comes in, milled titanium pocket clip to boot. Great guy. I forget his first name over there at American Blade Works, but I am definitely a supporter of what they're doing. This is the only American knife on this list, and it's a goddamn good one, coming in at number 6, the Model 2 from American Blade Works. Okay, number 5. Now, you just saw this hoe, but she made an appearance anyways. This is the Brian Brown Knives Jagger M version 3. This one right here is a River's Edge Cutlery exclusive. Basically, as far as materials goes, we've got the same blade steel as version 2, which is M390. I would have preferred for them to have changed that, but it is what it is. Riot is the OEM. Need I say more on that? Zirconium from the Ruta to the Tuta. We got the pocket clip, pivot collars, and almost a full-length backspacer as well to match. Fantastic detent, great action. We've also got that flipper tab. This version's got the jig titanium handles on both sides of the knife. Coming in at number 5, the Jagger version 3. Okay, now these next two, we're going to talk about, and then we're going to get to the top 3, which is going to have the knife of the year overall. So number 4 is this one, the Griffin Scout F3. Now, this was also a knife for most of the time since I've had it, was a contender for knife of the year for me. Fantastic fit and finish, overall tolerant. Everything on this knife is just wonderful. I do not know who the OEM is. I think I did at one point. I don't think it's Best Tech. I think it might be somebody else. But nonetheless, we've got a M390 steel here, drop point configuration. Now, this originally comes with shredded carbon fiber inlays. However, I had custom inlays made for me by Mr. Carbonize. You've got multiple forms of deployment. You've got a little blade window on both sides of the handles, or rather both sides of the blade. And then you've also got this nice front flipper. It's very, very snappy detent. This one came in, I think, about, if I remember correctly, I should have did my homework, but I want to say 350, 380 maybe even 380, you know, 350, 380, something like that. But it's a great goddamn knife nonetheless. I got it at the number 4 spot. That is the Griffin Scout F3. So like I mentioned, these last 3. These were the 3 that are the contender for knife of the year for me. So coming up in the second runner-up place is this one. Knife so nice, I bought it twice. The Jack Wolf Knives Gunslinger. This was the first attempt, and a successful attempt at that, from Jack Wolf at making a locking folder. Also, this was my first Jack Wolf ever. I had never purchased any of his knives, primarily because he had done slip joints up until then. But this one, like I said, was so nice, I ended up buying 2 of them. This one right here is the one that has stuck around. It is in the purple haze camo carbon version, titanium bolsters. We've got a full-length titanium backspacer, as well as pocket clip. Look at this beautiful clip point blade, full-length hollow grind. S90V is the steel. 2 forms of deployment. You've got that front flipper, as well as this full-length fuller. Very, very snappy detent. Aesthetically, absolutely stunning. When you look at the fit and finish of it, it's just, it's amazing, you know. The OEM has never been publicly disclosed. Everyone seems to want to say it's Riot. And I tell you, I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that. I mean, it's right up there with Riot quality, so that is a strong possibility. But this one is not the knife of the year. This one came in at number 3, the Gunslinger. So now these last 2. This one in particularly was on my list for sleeper knife of the year, and it was in the running for knife of the year up until recently. But nonetheless, it deserves its praises. This is the Alliance Design Kraken. This is a Matthew Christensen design. And let me tell you something, people. I am a big Matthew Christensen fan. You know, I've got his Maverick, which I had hunted forever. I've got, you know, a budget version knife of his. And then this right here. This is actually the cheapest version of the Kraken. This one comes in at $375. You know, the consensus seems to be that, once again, Riot is the OEM on this. A lot of people were also thinking that whoever the OEM is for CKF, that they're the same OEM that Alliance is using. I can't confirm or deny that, but what I can tell you is that this is an amazing knife, and it is in the second position for me as for knife of the year. We got this beautiful Japanese Kraken Tonto blade shape in LMAX blade steel, dual grind. We've got this nice hollow here in our main portion, flat at the tip. Love that swedge on the spine of the blade. We've got a thumb disc for deployment. Got these stone-washed titanium bolsters with this, they call it green, but a green micarta inlay. Geared titanium backspacer, milled titanium pocket clip. This is just absolutely insane. Just the quality, the build quality on this is, it really blew me away. It really put Alliance on the map for me. Such a great knife. I think this is one that, like I said, has been slept on the most. Not enough people talk about it, but it's number 2 for me on the year of best knives overall. So now we get to the one that matters the most. Plain old number 1, my knife of the year. Also a recent acquisition. We're looking at this one. The KCF Mini Justice. This is a Tashi Barucha design, and I hope I'm not butchering the gentleman's name. This was also my first Tashi design, as well as my first KCF. And needless to say, I have been blown away since unboxing it. I have managed to find a way to have it in my pocket or in my hand daily since getting it. This is an integral. This comes in at $700, so it is by far the most expensive knife on this list. We've got this beautiful harpoon blade shape with a little bit of Japanese Tonto vibe in M398. That's right, the sister to M390. We've got this beautiful integral titanium handle with a bronze anodized finish, crystal tie bolsters on both sides, rather inlays on both sides of these bolsters. We've got this intricate mesh milling pattern on both sides of the handle. That same milling pattern goes on that portion of the pocket clip, which happens to ride over that portion of the handle. This has just broken in so wonderfully. My God. We've only got the single form of deployment, which is the flipper. Now, initially, I was thinking that I was going to have an issue, that I wasn't going to like this because there is no jimping on that flipper tab. I just can't, I don't understand it. It does not affect me in the least with this knife. That lack of jimping, I've never slipped off that flipper. And it's something they did with this flipper. I can't explain it, but the lack of jimping does not matter. This is another brand that they have not released the OEM on. Of course, there's been speculation. I think some people think it might be Kevin Johns is who I have heard. Also have heard Riot. But regardless of who it is, this is my number 1 knife of the year, the KCF Mini Justice. So let's just go ahead and show the top 3 contenders for knife of the year on this closeout. We had a good year in 2023. Very, very fortunate. We had some fantastic knives. I made some fantastic relationships and had a goddamn blast doing it. So what I want to know is, what do you fuckers think? Is there any other knives that I missed for this category? What's your knife of the year? Tell me all about it. Love you, mean it. Until the next time. Cut something. Cut someone. Just don't cut yourself. Stay dangerous, fuckers.